The first day in Moscow was really short. We arrived at the airport in late afternoon, were picked up, driven to the boat, checked into our state hall, then we rested a bit before going, of course, for dinner. After dinner, we just went out a bit and took some pictures. After a good night's sleep, we were given food in doggy bags and took off in a bus to see Moscow. And now we are on the way to see the Red Square and all the beautiful buildings surrounding it. We did not go inside the historical museum because there was too long to wait, and Marilyn wanted to go to the old gun building, and you'll see why. The old gun building was restored and made into an exclusive shopping center for the Russian elite. It has hundreds of fancy stores, that is by Russian standards, with fancy or high prices and really nothing to buy. You're not allowed to get into the Kremlin from the Red Square. So we had to drive around through half of Moscow to get to the Kremlin. On the way, of course, we stopped in a few places, and we also stopped in the Alexander Garden, which is right beside the wall of the Kremlin, and it's beautiful. You'll see it shortly. On the way to the Kremlin, we stopped at the Alexander Gardens and the Kremlin Gardens. They're absolutely beautiful, very picturesque, took lots of pictures, and we enjoyed it very much. We are finally inside the Kremlin, where we saw a few more churches, Putin's offices, and a gun which never fired. Today, we started by visiting the Moscow subway, which is absolutely gorgeous, as you can see. It was also originally built as a bunker against a nuclear attack from the United States. Now we are on the way to the main attraction of the day, which is the Sergeyev Posad Monastery. We will be driving approximately 70 kilometers north of Moscow. This is how the Sergeyev Posad Monastery looks from the outside. And, of course, inside, as expected, we will be seeing more churches and cathedrals. Coming up. Back at the boat and sailing towards the next destination, Uglitch. See you there! The next morning, on the fourth day of the trip, we arrived at Uglitch. Beautiful town, and as usually, more churches to see. In case you wonder why I took the next picture of the back door of the church, is because of the Star of David. That apparently used to be a synagogue. Here is where we bought the wooden doll eggs for Liora and Ricky as presents at less than half price than in Moscow. Today we visited another village and we saw more churches and more churches, but we also saw great fruits. Rafi, God bless him, enjoyed that part very much.
All those who have been singing and dancing for you since you got on board the ship. First of all, our vocalist, Ekaterina. The dancers, Maria. And the dancer is Volga. Большое спасибо.
Wow.
By now, I'm getting a bit tired of talking to you face to face all the time, so you'll have to suffer from now on only from my voice. The village of Gorici is occupied or inhabited only by the older generation. The new generation has moved or migrated to Moscow or St. Petersburg. Here we were fortunate enough to see a typical house from the inside. It was actually quite interesting to see the kitchen, the living room, the bedroom of a typical Russian village type house. Actually, it was nice. The Kizy Island in the middle of the Volga was not very interesting, except for the wooden church, which unfortunately was under construction and we didn't get to see the inside. This was an old farmhouse, which we actually did get to see the inside with some old type of furniture and shit, which wasn't really very interesting, I must say. Before getting back to the boat, of course, we had to see the local Chachka's bazaar, and then back in the boat, ready for departure. The artist village of Madrogi was a beautiful place to visit. The buildings and the surrounding gardens, everything was actually quite nice and beautiful. Nice to walk around, of course, as you can see. We even got to see Russian artists painting wooden eggs. We were even told that Putin came to visit the place and painted an egg, which I guess probably sold for $1 million. So it was kind of nice. You can see all that. This one was probably one of the most beautiful girls we saw in Russia. Finally in Petersburg, our last destination and the city I always wanted to see. This is, in my opinion, the most beautiful city I've ever seen. It's actually a combination of Paris and Venice. Unfortunately, we were there in kind of a bad weather and I'm a lousy photographer. Rafi, please say something stupid. Say something stupid. Right. Miriam?
See, look, it's the head of somebody.
We toured the city by bus, going from monument to monument, from cathedral to cathedral, but we never got to see anything from the inside until, of course, we reached the Hermitage Museum, which is coming shortly, and you'll see it wasn't that impressive. This is a view of the Hermitage Museum from the other side of the canal, and we are on the way to get there and see it from the inside. The main entrance is very impressive, as it should be. It used to serve as the winter palace of the Tsars, but the exhibits are not as impressive as those that you can see in the Louvre in Paris. The interior rooms and halls and furniture and exhibits were actually more beautiful than those in the Hermitage Museum. Mind you, there were fewer, of course, but still absolutely beautiful. Here are a few images of the beautiful surrounding gardens around the palace. And this is the bath, sauna and massage building for the Queen. Also beautiful, but we did not get to see it inside. And finally, the private cathedral for the Queen. Those are the famous fountains in the Peterhof Palace. Beautiful beyond imagination. The pictures and the video taken here doesn't do any favor. I mean, it's really quite lousy. But please imagine how beautiful it is to go there and see the fountains, the palace, the surrounding gardens. By the way, we did not get to see the inside of the palace. Again, it was a long wait and stuff like that.
Ну, на фоне фонтана.
Катя, помогай, я фотографирую.
As you can see, it was raining and it was extremely difficult to take pictures and video. And this, of course, is a sample of the wildlife in the gardens. Still raining. Exploring the city on our own was a true experience. We used the subway to get from the hotel to the center of the city, and the rest of the exploration we did by boat. As you can see, we traveled by boat through the different canals and saw different buildings, and it was kind of nice, relaxing and enjoyable.
Второй стрелковый храбрый взвод, теперь моя семья. Поклон, привет тебе он шлет, моя любимая. Поклон, привет тебе он шлет, моя любимая. мечты мои сбылись в походах и боях, и стали ко мне улыбнись, моя любимая. В кармане маленьком моем есть карточка твоя, так значит мы всегда вдвоем, моя любимая. Так значит мы всегда вдвоем, моя любимая.
The following pictures in St. Petersburg were taken on a better day by a better photographer. And now we are finally back in the hotel. Waking up, going to the elevator, going down to the lobby, the duty-free shop, exiting the hotel and going to the airport. Goodbye for now.